The awakening signal they thought silence meant extinction. For nearly 1,000,000 years, the galaxy celebrated the disappearance of the chaotic species from the third planet of an unremarkable yellow star. But silence doesn't always mean death. Sometimes, it means evolution. When humanity finally spoke again, their whisper shook the foundations of 1,000 civilizations, and the galaxy realized they hadn't been sleeping. They'd been preparing. Dr. Elena Vasquez pressed her palm against the cool metal wall of the observation deck. The stars looked the same as they had for the past 40 years of her life. But today, something felt different. The quantum resonance detector in her laboratory had been picking up strange patterns for 3 days now, patterns that matched no known technology in the Galactic database. Elena was a xenosignal specialist aboard the research station Harmony Prime. She had dedicated her life to studying the peaceful communications of the Galactic Harmony Council, a federation of 12 species that had maintained perfect peace for over 800,000 years. The Zelkari, with their crystalline bodies that sang in perfect harmony. The Nathani, whose gaseous forms could compute solutions to problems that took solid beings centuries to solve. The Vikaran, whose symbiotic nature allowed them to share consciousness across vast distances. All of them had one thing in common. They had learned to exist without conflict, without the messy chaos that had once plagued the galaxy. They had achieved what every civilization dreamed of: perfect peace. But Elena had always wondered about the cost of that peace. Her species, the Terathi, had joined the Council only 200 years ago. They were young compared to the others, and sometimes, Elena felt like they were the only ones who remembered what it was like to struggle, to fight, to grow through challenge. The communication panel on her desk chimed softly. Elena's research partner, Dr. Keth Zorvani, appeared on the holographic display. Keth was Zelkari, his crystalline form shifting between blue and green as he spoke. "Elena, you need to see this immediately," Keth said, his musical voice carrying notes of excitement and concern. "The signal patterns you detected are not random. They contain mathematical sequences that should not exist." Elena felt her heart rate increase. "What do you mean?" "The equations embedded in the signals solve theoretical physics problems that our greatest minds have worked on for millennia. Whoever is sending these signals has advanced mathematics beyond anything in our records." Elena grabbed her datapad and rushed to the laboratory. Keth was already there, his crystalline body pulsing with nervous energy. Around him, holographic displays showed wave patterns, mathematical formulas, and star charts. "Show me," Elena said. Keth manipulated the display with movements that looked like a dance. "The signals are coming from deep space, but Elena, they're not from one location. They're coming from 17 different points simultaneously, all equidistant from the galactic core." Elena studied the data. The signals were unlike anything she had ever seen. They pulsed with a rhythm that seemed almost biological, as if they were alive. "Have you informed the Council?" "Not yet. I wanted to analyze them further first." "Elena, there's something else. The signals contain references to a species designation that's been classified as extinct for 870,000 years. Elena's blood ran cold. "Which species?" Keth's crystalline form dimmed slightly. "The humans." The word hung in the air like a forbidden curse. Elena had heard whispers about the humans throughout her academic career, but actual information was scarce. What she knew came from ancient records and scholarly debates. The humans had been the galaxy's greatest mystery and its greatest threat. They had emerged from a small blue planet in the outer spiral arm, a species that thrived on conflict and competition. Unlike every other known species, humans seemed to grow stronger through struggle. They had developed technology at an unprecedented rate, not through peaceful cooperation, but through constant challenge and innovation. 1,000 years ago, just as they were beginning to spread across the galaxy, the humans had simply vanished. No ships, no signals, no trace. The galaxy had searched for them for thousands of years before finally declaring them extinct. "Keth, are you certain about this?" Elena asked. "The mathematical signatures match ancient human theoretical work." But Elena, These signals are using mathematics that advance those theories by millions of years. If these are human signals, then they didn't go extinct. They evolved. Elena's mind raced. If humans had survived and continued to advance, what did that mean for the galaxy? The Galactic Harmony Council had built their entire civilization on the premise that conflict was unnecessary, that peace was the only path to advancement. But humans had proven that struggle could lead to incredible growth. We need to inform Chancellor Nethys, Elena said. Chancellor Nethys was the current leader of the Galactic Harmony Council, an ancient Nethani whose gaseous form had accumulated wisdom for over 100,000 years. They transmitted their findings to the council chambers, on Harmony Prime's central deck. Within an hour, Elena and Keth found themselves standing before the assembled representatives of the 12 species. Chancellor Nethys floated in the center of the chamber, his gaseous form shifting between purple and gold. Dr. Vasquez, Dr. Zorvani, present your findings. Elena activated the holographic display. The chamber filled with the mathematical sequences and signal patterns they had discovered. Honored Council, we have detected signals that appear to originate from the extinct human species. The mathematics embedded in these signals suggest technological advancement far beyond our current understanding. The chamber erupted in a cacophony of different forms of communication. The Zelkari sang in discordant notes of worry. The Vikoran symbiotic pairs merged and separated rapidly, their equivalent of agitated discussion. The Meraki's insectoid forms clicked and buzzed in rapid consultation. Impossible, declared Ambassador Thektar of the Vikoran. The humans have been extinct for nearly 1 million years. We searched every corner of the galaxy. Perhaps, said Elena, but these signals suggest otherwise. The question is, what do we do about it? Chancellor Nethys expanded his gaseous form, a sign of deep contemplation. If the humans have indeed survived and advanced, they represent a significant unknown factor. Our civilization has achieved perfect harmony through the elimination of conflict. The humans represented the antithesis of our philosophy. Dr. Keth stepped forward. With respect, Chancellor, perhaps that's exactly what we need. Our advancement has slowed considerably over the past 200,000 years. We have achieved stability, but at what cost? The chamber fell silent. It was a dangerous thought, one that challenged the very foundation of their society. You suggest that conflict is necessary for growth? Asked Ambassador Zira of the Meraki. Keth's crystalline form brightened. I suggest that challenge is necessary for growth. The humans understood this. They didn't seek conflict for its own sake, but they didn't avoid it when it led to advancement. Elena watched the council members consider this. She could see the fear in their various forms of expression. The galaxy had known peace for so long that the very concept of productive conflict seemed alien. There is another consideration, Elena said. These signals are not passive, they're moving. Our long-range sensors indicate that whatever is sending them is approaching galactic boundaries. The chamber erupted again. This time the communications were clearly fearful. Approaching? Chancellor Nethys's form darkened. At what speed? Unknown. The signals appear to be using some form of spatial manipulation that we don't understand. They could arrive in decades, or they could arrive tomorrow. Elena watched as the council struggled with this information. They had built a civilization based on predictability and order. The humans represented chaos and uncertainty. We must decide, Elena continued, whether to attempt communication or to prepare defenses. Defenses? Ambassador Thektar's symbiotic form split apart in shock. We haven't maintained military capabilities for over 500,000 years. Then perhaps, Elena said quietly, we should try to communicate. Over the following days, Elena and Keth worked tirelessly to decode more of the signals. What they found was both fascinating and terrifying. The humans had not only survived but had developed technology that allowed them to exist in parallel dimensions. They had been watching the galaxy, observing its development, waiting. The signals contained messages of greeting but also warnings. The humans spoke of threats from outside the galaxy, of dangers that the peaceful species had never imagined. They offered protection but also challenged the Council's philosophy. They're not asking for permission to return, Elena realized as she studied the latest transmissions. They're announcing their return. The signals were growing stronger, more frequent. Whatever was sending them was definitely getting closer. On the seventh day, Elena's detector registered something that made her hands shake. The signals were no longer coming from 17 different points. They were converging on a single location, the original coordinates of the third planet from that unremarkable yellow star. They were coming home. Elena rushed to inform the council, but as she entered the chamber, every display in the facility suddenly activated. The image that appeared was unmistakably human, a woman with dark hair and determined eyes, wearing clothing that seemed to shift and change as Elena watched. "People of the galaxy," the woman said, her voice carrying across every communication channel simultaneously. "This is Captain Sophia Chen of the human vessel Prometheus Dawn. We have been watching. We have been waiting. We have been preparing. It's time to come home." The transmission ended, leaving the chamber in stunned silence. The humans hadn't just survived. They had evolved beyond anything the galaxy had imagined. And they were coming back. The return protocol. The space around Earth shimmered like water disturbed by a stone. Reality itself seemed to bend and twist, as massive shapes began to emerge from what could only be described as tears in the fabric of spacetime. The ships that came through were unlike anything in the Galactic database. They flowed like liquid metal, their surfaces constantly shifting between solid matter and pure energy. Captain Sophia Chen stood on the bridge of the Prometheus Dawn, watching through the viewport as 17 identical vessels emerged from parallel dimensions. Each ship was a marvel of engineering that defied conventional physics. They existed in multiple dimensions simultaneously, able to phase between realities at will. Sophia was tall and lean, with the kind of quiet confidence that came from commanding impossible missions. Her dark hair was streaked with silver, and her eyes held the weight of 870,000 years of human history. She wore a uniform that seemed to be made of living fabric, adjusting to her environment and needs automatically. "Navigation report," Sophia called to her crew. "We're holding position at Earth's original coordinates, Captain," replied Lieutenant Commander Marcus Webb, her first officer. Marcus was younger than Sophia, but his DNA carried the genetic memories of thousands of human generations. Like all humans of this era, he had access to the accumulated knowledge and experience of his ancestors. "Any response from the Galactic Council?" Sophia asked. 17 different messages, all requesting peaceful dialogue, said Communications Officer. "Dr. Yuki Tanaka." "They seem concerned," Sophia smiled. Concern was a natural response. The galaxy had grown comfortable in its peace, but comfort could be dangerous. The humans had learned that lesson long ago. "Dr. Rivera, status on the dimensional anchors?" Chief, Science Officer Isabella Rivera looked up from her console. Her hands moved through holographic displays that existed in 4 dimensions simultaneously. "All 17 anchor points are stable, Captain. We're fully integrated into this dimensional layer." Sophia nodded. The return had taken decades of preparation. Humanity had been watching the galaxy for nearly 1,000,000 years, observing its development. From parallel dimensions, they had seen the rise of the Galactic Harmony Council, the elimination of conflict, and the slow stagnation that followed. "Captain," Dr. Tanaka said, "we're receiving a priority transmission from the Council. They're requesting a formal meeting. Put it through." The main screen flickered to life, showing the chamber of the Galactic Harmony Council. Sophia recognized Chancellor Nethys from the dimensional observations. The ancient Nethani floated in, the center, his gaseous form cycling through colors that indicated deep concern. "Captain Chen," Chancellor Nethys began, his voice carrying the weight of millennia. "On behalf of the Galactic Harmony Council, I welcome you back to our dimension. We have many questions." "I'm sure you do, Chancellor. We've been watching your civilization's development for some time. You've achieved something remarkable, perfect peace. But you've also achieved something dangerous, perfect stagnation." The Chamber erupted in the various communication styles of the assembled species. Sophia waited patiently for the noise to die down. "You disapprove of our peace?" asked Ambassador Thektar of the Vicarin. "I disapprove of your stagnation," Sophia replied. "Peace without growth is not peace, it's slow extinction." Dr. Elena Vasquez stepped forward in the council chamber. Sophia recognized her from the dimensional scans. She was one of the few council members who still understood the value of challenge. "Captain Chen," Elena said, "our records indicate that humanity disappeared 870,000 years ago during your early space exploration period. Where have you been?" Sophia gestured to Dr. Rivera, who activated a new display. The hologram showed a complex map of parallel dimensions, layered like sheets of reality. "We didn't disappear, Dr. Vasquez. We evolved. When we first encountered the galaxy's established civilizations, we realized that our approach to development through controlled conflict was seen as threatening. So we made a choice. We retreated to parallel dimensions to continue our growth without interfering with your peace." Parallel dimensions? Chancellor Nethys's form shifted to deep blue, indicating confusion. "Such technology is purely theoretical." "Not anymore," Sophia said. "We've had nearly 1,000,000 years to perfect it." Dr. Rivera, explain. Isabella Rivera's image appeared on the council's display. She was a woman in her 50s with graying hair and eyes that seemed to hold infinite knowledge. "Honored Council, dimensional manipulation requires understanding that conflict and cooperation are not opposites, but complementary forces. We learned to harness the creative tension between opposing forces to power our dimensional engines." The key concept clearly disturbed the council members. Their entire civilization was built on the elimination of opposing forces. "But why return now?" asked Ambassador Zira of the Meraki. Sophia's expression grew serious. "Because the galaxy faces a threat that peace alone cannot overcome. We've been monitoring extragalactic space from our dimensional vantage points. Something is coming. Something that will test every civilization in ways you cannot imagine." The main display shifted to show deep space scans from outside the galaxy. Dark shapes moved between the stars, consuming light and matter as they traveled. "The Void Collective," Sophia continued. "They exist in the spaces between dimensions, feeding on the energy of ordered civilizations. They're drawn to large concentrations of peaceful, predictable societies. Your perfect harmony has been broadcasting your location across multiple dimensional layers for hundreds of thousands of years." The chamber fell silent. The concept of a threat that specifically targeted peaceful civilizations was their worst nightmare. "How long do we have?" Chancellor Nethys asked. "Based on their current trajectory, approximately 50 years. But they can accelerate if they detect significant changes in your dimensional signature." "Changes like what?" Elena asked. "Like the return of humanity to normal space," Sophia said. "Our presence here has already begun to alter the galaxy's dimensional resonance. The Void Collective will investigate." The council members exchanged communications in their various forms. Sophia could see the fear and confusion in their body language. "What do you propose?" Chancellor Nethys finally asked. "Integration," Sophia said. "Not just our return to the galaxy, but the integration of human development philosophy with council peace principles. We've learned that growth requires both cooperation and controlled conflict. You've learned that peace requires structure and order. Together we can create something stronger than either approach alone." "You're asking us to abandon our fundamental principles," Ambassador Thektar said. "No," Sophia replied. "I'm asking you to evolve them. Peace is not the absence of challenge, it's the mastery of challenge. We can teach you to grow through controlled conflict, and you can teach us to maintain stability through cooperation." Dr. Rivera stepped forward. "We've developed training programs that introduce beneficial stress to societies, competition that drives innovation without causing destruction, challenges that strengthen rather than weaken." "The concept is sound," Elena said, studying the data. "But the psychological adjustment would be enormous. Our species have bred conflict out of their natures." "Not bred out," Sophia corrected. "Suppressed. The instinct for growth and challenge exists in all intelligent species. You've simply learned to ignore it. Lieutenant Commander Webb spoke up from the Prometheus Dawn's bridge. Captain, we're detecting dimensional fluctuations. The Void Collective may have noticed our emergence. Sophia nodded. Council, we don't have time for extended debates. The choice is simple. Evolve or be consumed. We're offering you the tools to become stronger, but you have to choose to use them. Chancellor Nethys expanded his gaseous form, surrounding the central area of the chamber. This is the most significant decision in our civilization's history. We need time to consider. Time is something we may not have, Sophia said. But we'll give you what we can. Dr. Rivera established the monitoring network. The 17 human ships spread throughout the galaxy, each taking position at strategic points. They began deploying dimensional sensors and defensive systems, but also something else. Challenge generators. What are those devices? Elena asked. Controlled problem generators, Sophia explained. They create beneficial stress situations that require creative solutions. Think of them as exercise equipment for civilizations. They'll start small. Resource management puzzles, engineering challenges, social coordination problems. Nothing dangerous, but everything designed to wake up your species' dormant growth instincts. Over the following weeks, the devices activated across Council space. The results were immediate and remarkable. The Zelkari began creating new harmonic frequencies they'd never imagined. The Nathani discovered computational solutions that had eluded them for millennia. The Vikaran symbiotic pairs found new ways to cooperate that enhanced their individual capabilities. It's working, Elena reported to the Council. Our innovation rates have increased by 400% in just 3 weeks. But, at what cost? Ambassador Thektar asked. Our people are experiencing stress, anxiety, uncertainty. Growth emotions, Sophia said. Your species had forgotten that positive feelings can come from overcoming challenges, not just from avoiding them. The breakthrough came when Dr. Keth Sorvani, working with human engineers, developed a new form of dimensional shielding that could protect entire solar systems from void collective detection. The shield required both crystalline Zelkari harmonic resonance and human dimensional manipulation technology. We couldn't have created this using either approach alone, Keth reported. The synthesis is more powerful than the sum of its parts. As the galaxy began to adapt to the new paradigm, long-range sensors detected the first signs of the Void Collective's approach. But now, instead of a defenseless collection of peaceful species, they would face a civilization that had learned to grow through challenge while maintaining harmony through cooperation. Captain Sophia Chen stood on the observation deck of Harmony, Prime, watching human and alien children play together in games that combined competition with cooperation. They were creating something new, a civilization that could be both peaceful and strong, stable and growing. Do you think it will work? Elena asked, joining her at the viewport. Growth always works, Sophia replied. The question is whether we'll grow fast enough to meet what's coming. In the depths of space, the Void Collective scouts detected the dimensional changes in the galaxy. For the first time in their existence, they encountered something they had never seen before, a peaceful civilization that was also prepared to fight. The galaxy had found its balance between peace and strength, between harmony and growth. And, when the darkness came, it would find not a collection of gentle civilizations waiting to be consumed, but a unified force that had learned humanity's greatest lesson, that the strongest peace comes not from avoiding conflict, but from mastering it. The silent echo had returned, and the galaxy would never be the same.